So here we are on the Wey Navigation. This is our first paddle since we came back from Canada, and it's about 45 minutes drive from where we live. And it was developed as a canal. It's not used as a commercial canal now. There are just pleasure boats on it. And we're about 5 minutes from the freeway that brought us here from home, and it's very quiet and peaceful. And the vegetation here is very lush, and it's very pleasant. We've planned just to paddle up here for an hour or so, or a couple of hours, and then paddle back and go home on Sunday morning. There's a lock just ahead. That's our first lock that we're coming to, which we'll need to portage around probably. And while it doesn't compare with the Nahani, it's still a nice place to visit and to get away from home and work and all those things. I don't know if you can hear a plane overhead. That's about the only thing that's disturbing us. We're not all that far from Heathrow Airport here, so there's a fair amount of noise from aeroplanes. We've seen, I think we've seen two, they're called narrow boats. They're the sort of pleasure craft that use these canals, and they're the same. They're the size that will go through the locks, and they're the same size as the former commercial vehicles. I don't know what they carried on this canal. Probably agricultural produce, maybe. It runs north-south. It eventually joins up with the Thames, not all that far from London, and it goes down into the Surrey countryside, which is where we are now. Mary's doing all the work, as you can tell. So here we are at the lock, and there's some narrow boats coming through, as you can see. We won't go through the lock because it's easier for us just to carry around. So here we are at Paper Court Lock. You can see we've got our canoe on our little wheels, and we'll put it in on the other side of the lock and be on our way. You can see there are quite a number of boats moored here just after the lock, and you can see here some of the lovely flowers and foliage on the side of the river, and these grasses, which are very nice. There's behind us at the moment, we've got some canoeists who are training, so they'll come into view very shortly as they go past. You can hear them talking. Here they come.
We reported you.
We're taking a more leisurely path. This is the towpath. The vessels that we use commercially here, up until, I don't know, the early part of the 20th century, were towed by horses along these paths. You always get a very strong sense on these canals of their history and what it must have been like 100 years ago when those horse-drawn boats came down here. How peaceful it must have been then. There would have been no sound of aeroplanes or much sound of anything really, and a kind of wishing for those days to return, though of course they never will. This is a nice part of the canal, and on our left hand side Can't see any now, but there are heaps of blackberries, and when we come back we'll be paddling on that side, and we've bought a couple of buckets, so we're going to try and get a whole lot of blackberries to take home with us. This is where we've stopped for lunch, another lock, and you can see the lock keeper's cottage there. Not a very high-stress job these days, and in fact I don't think the cottage is occupied, but I don't think he carries out any lock-keeping duties. The pleasure boats operate the locks themselves. There's a notice board here that says that this navigation has been open since 1593, a long time ago. And around here you can see Mary making lunch. There she is. Doesn't she look lovely? She's just opening a little packet and putting out some napkins. And she's going to make a sandwich or something. And we've got a flask of Chateau cardboard wine, which we're going to have. She's just pulling it out now, I think. She probably should. No, some plums or apricots or something. And oh, there it is. There's it's an Australian rosé, I think. So that'll be very nice. And we parked our canoe over the other side just to keep it out of the way of the lock. And we'll walk around over the lock bridge to get it after we've had lunch. One thing you can do on this bit of the river is you can stop and have a drink at the pub. Hiya. So we've got a fisherman up ahead in there in the distance. One of the problems with canoeing in the UK, or in England anyway, is that nearly all the rivers are privately owned, or apparently privately owned. They're not really privately owned, but the owners think they own the river. So you get a lot of grief when you paddle on. We found some blackberries. Mary's picking them now.
I'm picking them like milking a cow's udder and just plopping them in the bucket.
Yeah. Can you see the blackberries? There's some just over there. On a pigeon cooing. And I don't know what that other bird is. Maybe a jay. It's pretty nice down here.